Hello my lovely friends, I'm just going to update you on this Jungle Cobra perfume from Saffron London. So I bought this one after buying their dupe of Christian Dior Poison, which is just called Wild Cobra. That one comes in it's got kind of green edges around the box, it's got kind of, looks like scales, like snake scales on the outside and kind of black and silver. That is now my go-to if I want to smell like poison. It's like a light, slightly fruitier, easier to wear, less smoky version of poison, but it has all those essential elements that I love from poison. It actually smells quite similar, although, I mean, I can definitely tell it's not as expensive a perfume, but it smells very similar to my EDT, my vintage Christian Dior EDT, and it also has a few similarities with the dry down of the modern Dior Poison. So because I like that one so much, I was like, what is this Jungle Cobra? The fact that it was green and that it's still called Cobra made me think, I wonder if this one is supposed to be a dupe for Tendre Poison by Christian Dior. I mean, I'm not pronouncing that right, but so that is obviously a perfume that's been discontinued, and unfortunately I've never been lucky enough to actually smell that one. That is a perfume that I totally missed when it was out, and then it's been discontinued. It's now extremely expensive to buy. I'm sure there's lots of fakes, so I haven't ever actually tried to get that one, and I don't know anyone who has it, so I can't smell anyone else's. So all I know about that is that it gets compared a lot to Cabotine de Gres. Now I have the EDP version of that, which is an incredibly soapy, bright, white floral with sweetness, loads of blackcurrant. It's got a lot of tuberose and it's got a lot of ginger lily, and it's very, very pretty. It's very, very strong. It's one that, although there is something about it that smells like spring, it's one that I can't wear in warmer weather. It's one for cold weather for me. Incredibly soapy. I do like it. I much prefer the EDP to the EDT, because the EDT I think is just a little bit harsher and actually weirdly stronger. I just looked at this Jungle Cobra and I thought, it does seem logical that this would be Tendre Poison. So I don't know where in the world you can get this. Obviously this is Saffron London, so you can get it really easy in England. You can get this on Amazon, which is where I got this, and I think it was under £10, I believe. So Jungle Cobra, this is the box, and then this is the bottle. So if you excuse my bobbly blanket I've got on here. So, and then this is the cool lid. It's just, you know, it's not an expensive looking bottle, but it's, you know, kind of cute in a way. So you get this little thing on it because it doesn't actually say what it is on here. This is an eau de parfum. It's 100ml. So this is interesting. I can't find any notes or any details about the Saffron London perfumes. I'd really like to know if any of you guys have Tendre Poison and if you've ever tried this and if you could compare, because I'm guessing this might actually smell like a decent dupe of Tendre Poison. The reason I say that is that this to me smells like the love child of original Poison by Christian Dior and Cabotine de Gres. It's more soapy than the original Poison. It's kind of slightly, it's way less dark, it's more spring-like. It's still got the honey and the tuberose feel going on here, but it's greener, it's brighter, it's zestier, it's not smoky. It's still got the musk, it's still got the woods. It's got a real poison, you know, it smells like a flanker of poison is what I'm trying to say. And it also smells quite similar to Cabotine, but Cabotine I think is far more soapy, it's much stronger, it's got slightly different florals, although there is obviously tuberose in that. Cabotine maybe is not quite as sweet as this one when this dries down, but it genuinely does smell like those two perfumes kind of combined and remove some of the darker more gothic-y kind of elements of the original Poison. So if I run you through the original Poison, I do have a few videos about Poison. I've got a couple of videos where I talk about Cabotine as well. But the original Poison is fruity, sweet amber, white floral, woody, warm spicy, tuberose, balsamic, floral and honey. That's what they list as the main accords for that. Whereas Tendre Poison is listed as white floral, citrus, floral, tuberose, sweet, powdery, honey, woody, animalic, fresh, spicy. This doesn't smell powdery to me. I've never heard anyone else describe Tendre Poison as powdery, but that's just what Fragrantica list as the kind of accords. So if we look at the notes, for the original Poison, you've got the plum, tuberose, and those are kind of voted right up the top of what the strongest notes are. So you've got plum, tuberose, smoke, honey, berries, cinnamon. So you've got the spices again. Then you've got a bit of vanilla. You've got heliotrope. You've got rose. You've got musk. You've got woods. You've got all of those things. And then if we look at the notes for, because I'm assuming that this one is a dupe for Tendre Poison, so I'm just going to give you notes for Tendre Poison because this doesn't actually have any notes. So the notes for Tendre Poison are top notes of asphotidia or asphotidia, a very strange looking thing, which I think, it sounds disgusting. So it's other names for it are devil's dung, hing, tingst, and stinking gum. So it's a type of herb, and the odour profile says it's between a leek and an onion. So, yeah, a bit of a weird thing to find in perfumes. But I guess there must be a reason why there is a kind of desire for that particular scent. And I almost get it, but not in a savoury or disgusting way. But there is something here which I can kind of be like, oh, maybe that's the slightly strange smell that I'm getting. Which, I would never, if I smell it, say, oh my God, that smells like onions. But there is an interesting aroma going on here that isn't in the original Poison. But it's not off-putting and there's nothing weird about it. And like I said, if I first smell it, I wouldn't be like, oh, onions, because that's not the vibe it really gives me. But yeah, very strange. So anyway, that's the first note. Then bergamot, Brazilian rosewood and mandarin orange. And I do get citruses here instead of the plum. So that's what makes this feel lighter, more spring-like, brighter, not as sweet and not as dark. And then in the middle, you've got tuberose, honey, orange blossom, freesia and rose, which are very, very similar. I think you have, you don't have the freesia in the original Dior Poison, but you have jasmine instead. So I feel like this one kind of took the rose, tuberose into this flanker, and then they went with the jasmine for the pure Poison. But anyway, so the base notes here are musk, sandalwood, heliotrope and vanilla. And you do have all of those in the original Poison. So this is just really pretty. It's definitely, to me, a honeyed white floral with tuberose being the dominant floral. So yeah, it's citrus, it's musk, it's definitely got that same kind of slight woodiness, but you've got this lovely honey, especially the more it dries down, and then you've got the tuberose. And the florals here are more soapy than they come across to me in the original Poison. So, but they're not as soapy as Cabotine. Cabotine is hella soapy to me. It's one of the most, I don't think it even lists aldehydes, but it's one of the most aldehydic perfumes in my collection. It fully smells so strongly of like a beautiful like bar soap. It's not quite shampoo, but it's very soapy. It's like old school soapy. So if I look at Cabotine de Gres, the main accords with that one are floral, white floral, aromatic, warm, spicy, woody, green, powdery, fruity, tuberose and animalic. I don't agree with those really. It is white floral. maybe slightly aromatic. I don't find it warm, spicy. I don't find it massively woody. It's definitely green. I don't find it powdery. I'd have had soapy in there. It's definitely fruity. It's definitely tuberosy, and there is some animalic going on there. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. Sometimes the main accords that are listed on Fragrantica don't ring true with me, but of course everyone smells perfumes differently, so that just might be me. So if we look at the notes in Cabotine, because it does again share some of the same notes. It's got tuberose, it's got freesia, it's got rose, it's got heliotrope, it's got musk, it's got sandalwood, it's got vanilla. Instead of the leaky kind of thing going on there, we've got civet. So I think it also has plum, but for me, it's got plum and blackcurrant. So it's got tangerine and peach. It's got and the tangerine is slightly citrusy and it's bright. But I think it's got a really nice blackcurrant and plum going on, which is why it kind of reminds me of poison. But the blackcurrant, it has a sharpness that I always do think the same. Like, I wear blackcurrant perfumes often the same way that I wear citrusy perfumes. So they're kind of sharp and bright. So they often have a mixture of sweetness and acidity, you know. And so I love blackcurrant in perfumes. A lot of my signature scents have had blackcurrant. And I just think they kind of work in that same way. Blackcurrant is another one of those things that can be very, very, very sharp in a citrusy way, much more so than something like a plum, which, you know, a sharp plum doesn't ever give you that citrus vibe. So I think there's a lot of crossovers here. But Cabotine, like I said, is way more soapy. It's probably slightly greener. I don't know if that's from the hyacinth and the jasmine, but, you know, and it's got cassis leaf as well, to be fair. So it might be that. I think it's got coriander in it, but it's not, I don't find it spicy, and I don't find it massively warm. I think it's not cold, but it's not warm. It's kind of slap bang in the middle for me, Cabotine, and I'm finding the same with this one. This, to be honest, this one is probably a bit stronger than the poison dupe, the Wild Cobra, because it's a relatively cold day when I've worn this to work, and it's lasted really well. This one lasted for about 6 hours for me before I felt like I wanted to reapply it. I did spray quite a lot of this on, and it lasted really well. I was really aware I was wearing it. It created quite a big scent bubble, I'd say, this one. So yeah, I think it's really good, and please do let me know if any of you guys have tried Jungle Cobra, and if you know what the original Tendre Poison smell like. And please do let me know if you think that this is actually a good dupe, because I feel like it makes sense in my brain that because this one smells so similar to both Poison and Cabotine, like, it seems like it's like just a perfect kind of combination of those two. And this really does smell to me like a spring green, light, soapier, fresher version of the original Poison. It's not a dissimilar kind of experience wearing it. It definitely, like I said, feels brighter. It doesn't feel as gothic or dark. It doesn't feel as it's not as sultry, but it's got a clean, beautiful scent while retaining that beautiful honeyed tuberose that you get in the original Poison. And that is one of the things I love about it. So it's kind of like having even the dupes, and with my original Poison, you've got that delicious honeyed tuberose, and you've got one with plum and spices and smoke. And then you've got this one, which is tuberose, honey, bright citruses, and like a beautiful spring vibe, a beautiful, bright, soapy, clean vibe. So yeah, I think this one is definitely worth checking out. If you're, and also, actually, to be honest, the other thing to say is because it does remind me a bit of Cabotine. That's quite a difficult perfume to wear sometimes. It's very strong. It's incredibly soapy to me. So I do kind of think this might also be a really good alternative if you've liked Cabotine, but that one is just too much of a beast for you and you just don't think that you could pull it off, or it gives you a headache or any of those kind of things. If it's just too much for you, the Cabotine de Gres, either the EDP or EDT, then this might be an easier wear that gives you that same sort of general fragrance. Because when I first smelled, I got the EDT first and I loved how it smelled, but I just couldn't wear it. And then someone in the comments had said, oh, you should try the EDP. I think it's a bit smoother, it's a bit lighter, it's a bit easier to get on with, there's more blackcurrant. So when I bought that one, I just loved it, and I particularly like it in incredibly cold, like bitterly cold weather. It really cheers me up. So I wore this one today. Cold day, drizzly rain, classic London grey day. And it was very bright and cheerful and lovely. And it worked in the same way Cabotine de Gres does, but it's not quite as strong, so it's a bit easier to wear. Not quite as soapy. So again, that makes it slightly easier to wear. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good one. I'm really glad that I bought it. It's definitely going to stay in my collection. Let me know if any of you guys have tried it or if you're going to try it. And yeah, I mean, I hope this was helpful because I don't think I really see Saffron perfumes very much. I will have to have a little search on YouTube to see if anyone else is talking about them and see what everyone else thinks. But both of the Saffrons I've got, I really, really like. I think they're really decent dupes, to be honest. So there you go. That's Jungle Cobra.